on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Yeah, I know what this is.
That's what you need to do, girl.
So death.
I've been watching you for a minute. Come through here so sweet, send it. Your life, girl, you need me in it. I'm determined to win it. I know what you need, I know what's wrong. I know how to make you tight. Everything'll be alright if you
welcome in. Happy Monday. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And you already know what time it is. We are reporting live with your front row seat to the culture, your daily dose of headlines and trending topics. And tonight, we have a full plate for you, from courtroom chaos to tour etiquette and ranking rap royalty. We're going to get into all of it, including, more Diddy legal drama. We are less than a month away from the start of Diddy's trial. And we're going to get into Rubi Rose. She has something to say about dating for her and her type of girls. And I think it's important that we recognize some standards when we're talking about all of that. And we're breaking down Bow Wow, what he said about his beef with Omarion, which is interesting to me because they're currently on tour together, I believe, or were. And his beef with Soulja Boy and a whole bunch of other people. So grab your popcorn, secure your edges, because we are about to get into some things. So first up, I mentioned Diddy. Well, according to TMZ, it's been said that Cassie is going to be testifying in Diddy's federal trial under her real name, not under an alias or anonymously. She's been identified in court documents according to the streets as victim number one. And if you read the documents, it matches up with some of the things that were mentioned in her initial civil suit against Diddy, which kicked all of this off, basically. And, this is a major thing because 3 other alleged victims have asked to remain anonymous for safety reasons. But I guess Cassie has her fame, perhaps, for cover, or the 30 million plus, perhaps, she received. But she is going to testify under her real name. Reminder, in the Southern District of New York, cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, so this will not be a trial that is televised. There are existing court reporters that have that beat, so to speak, so it's not like random bloggers can go, as we've seen like with Tory Lanez trial and Megan Thee Stallion or things of that nature, and go sit in the court and report back. So it is going to be heavily based on what these established news outlets that are already reporting on those court systems put out. So we'll get those drawings, though. I know you've seen those drawings, so we'll get those, but we won't get firsthand information as it stands. So Diddy's legal team was recently given the names of all the accusers, so it's almost go time. As I said, May 5th is the date. Diddy's currently being held at MDC in Brooklyn. And a reminder, he's facing charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. He's pled not guilty. And though the Cassie video is referenced in the indictment, remember the original copy of that video was reportedly destroyed by CNN. Although it was used in initial court filings, it is likely not going to be, per the streets and per some filings, admissible in court come May. Andy?
What's your prediction on the length of the trial?
That's a good question. I feel how long? I mean, this is different though. That court case was a TV show, Young Thugs. That was what, like a year and some change. The Young Thug thing. I feel like, in some ways, this might be rather quick in terms, like maybe 3 to 5 months. If that long, it just depends. Like, we'll see from the opening statements and when they start rolling out witnesses and evidence. But it feels like the feds feel like they have a really tight case focused on a few specific things. But we'll see when it all comes out. Yeah. So Cassie testifying could be a game changer because, there are aspects of it. As I mentioned, when she filed in November of 2023, there are aspects of this case that she filed with a lawyer whose specialty is employee suits within the workplace. So she approached it from a different angle, and there are accusations of that within the lawsuits. So, everyone's talking about the sex parties and the freak-offs and all of these things, but I think most of the teeth is potentially lying in the business relationships and how he was wielding his power and so forth with that. But we'll have to see. When we come forward, we're going to get into Rubi Rose, Chris Brown, Bow Wow, and a bunch of other trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting. On Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall. Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. The first 100 attendees will receive a complimentary air purifier. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Remember, if at any point you want to get in on this conversation, 800-920-1580. Hit us up on social media, KBLA 1580. Share your thoughts. I am at Stiletto Jill everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, all those good things. And of course, the YouTube chat, that's always lit. Download the app. Now that you have all the business, all the ways to connect, let's get into some more of these trending topics. So Rubi Rose, rapper, OnlyFans queen, baddie connoisseur, ex of DDG and Drewski. You know, she made headlines a few months ago when she said she didn't date guys that had, I think, less than $5 million or something to that effect, earned $5 million a year, something like that. And now she says that she cuts guys off who don't offer to pay for her hair. In her words, she says if she's telling you she's getting her hair done and you don't send the funds, you're cut off. She's done with you. Her logic is simple. Don't ask me where I'm going if you're not contributing to the look. And here's the thing. People were shading her, throwing all types of things. And then she showed a DM that she got where a guy Apple paid her $500. He said he didn't know how much her hair would cost, but he figured that should cover it. And that, my friends, is why women, certain women, think like this. Now, can everybody do that? Not necessarily. But Rubi Rose makes 6 to 7 figures a month on OnlyFans. And, you know, people thinking that it doesn't happen or it's very rare, it's not as rare as you think. So, you know, shout out to Rubi, I guess. Keep it pushing. I actually think that she and DDG will end up back together. They seem to kind of circle each other's drain quite a bit and seem to, you know, keep coming back. Might be something there. We'll have to see. So, you know how everybody's doing the line dance with the fans? Flap, 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 and it makes the noise. Andy has no idea what I'm talking about. On social media, you know, especially those posts where it's like black people opting out this year after we told y'all what was going to happen in the election. It's showing a bunch of people. There's this line dance and there's fans. And you kind of, when you hit one of the turns, you flap the fan so it makes the noise, right? Well, interesting timing? I don't know. Louis Vuitton has a $4,000 fan that is blowing minds and budgets. You heard that right. It's like $39.95 or something like that. It's a luxury handheld fan. And I mean, yeah, but no. $4,000 for a fan? It's a fan. Listen, it doesn't do anything fancy. It's not motorized like those ones that you put the batteries in. It's simply a thwap fan. Beautiful fan, but a fan. Shout out to those that will be flapping away at the Cowboy Carter concert with their Louis Vuitton fan. So we'll check in and see how that goes when we get back. Now, let's get into Bow Wow and his beefs. So he was on Cam Newton's Funky Friday, and you know, all the ex-athletes are getting all of the tea. I suppose it's because the entertainers and athletes feel comfortable spilling their tea with another entertainer. So they do. Well, Bow Wow broke down his past beefs with fellow rappers, a mentor or two, and even an NFL star. First up, who knew Bow Wow had this many beefs? I certainly didn't. But the one that I find the most interesting is, of course, with Omarion. So we're going to hear a little bit about what Bow Wow has been beefing about with all of these individuals. Like, who knew?
So were you acting when you were beefing with Soulja Boy?
No.
That was real beef?
Yeah, over cars.
Wow.
Over Lambos. Shout out to Soulja. That's my dog. It was interesting because we met on his Crank That video shoot. It was my idea to go down there and rock with him. It was always like my idea to whoever was new and coming into the game, it was always my thing to lend my hand out and rock with you. That's why the Scream tour was so popular, because I always lended a hand out there and try to bring up the next wave. and went down there to support him for the Crank That. We was cool. And then, you know, young, we both rappers. He the new, I'm still here. And it was just young, rich beef, but it wasn't no street beef. It was Lambos. He had the Gallardo or the Gallardo. I had the Mercy I bought. So I was just giving him the same medicine that all my big homies was giving me about my car. And, you know, we said, well, all right, then we'll race. We show the pink slips, whoever win, and, you know, Lambo come home. But that was.
So, first of all, I mean, I know they're young, but young with that much money and all of the things that Bow Wow has talked about he experienced at that time period, it's like, I wonder, even though he says the beef was real and it was over cars, I still wonder how much of this stuff is manufactured. Because if you think about it, Bow Wow's been in the industry for 30 years, right? He's about 37, 38 years old now. And the social media era was Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy literally started on YouTube when YouTube was first launching. You know, you have him to thank for social media marketing for a rapper, essentially, and going viral, right? And ringtones and all of that stuff. But Bow Wow, he was a legend. Like, say what you want, good, bad, or indifferent. We know Bow Wow has been prone to tell a couple of tales. We know he got caught up on social media with his fake post of the private jet and all of that. But, you know, he did something really huge at a very young age, was polished as a performer, had those hits, rolled it over into acting, and was good at it. You know, I don't know what happened, you know, in his 20s and 30s a little bit. Maybe he lost his way a little bit, but he seems to be focused more. So we'll continue. This is a long clip, so I'm forewarning you guys. So let's get into what the rest of what he has to say.
All my big homies was giving me about my car. And, you know, we said, well, all right, then we'll race. We show the pink slips, whoever win, and, you know, Lambo come home. But that was that. Like, we look back at that now and be laughing. Excuse me, me and Soulja get on FaceTime and just be laughing about certain stuff. If it go viral, we like, man, remember this stupid? Man, we were so stupid. And to this day, like, that's my dog. And I know if I needed him, he'll come through for me.
Say less. And the list goes. Lil Romeo, was that real beef?
No beef whatsoever. Everybody thought Fresh as I'm Is was a diss to him, and it never was. And the only reason why was because of the 18 making more than your dad, which was a line from that specific line came from another iconic hip hop artist. And because of the similarities, how people tried to pin it together, I had JD. We both come from two iconic labels. There's two iconic hip hop moguls behind us. Of course, his father, Master P, who I highly respect, businessman, hustler. They tried to make it a thing. I had the Mickey Mouse, he had the Bugs Bunny, but it never was to me. Like, not even from an arrogant place. Like, it just never was. And if he was here, say it never was. I never wanted, it never should have been that, and I never wanted to be that. And through time, I had conversations with Rome, and he was like, yo, bro.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I believe him when they were kids. You know, that was probably showmanship, the people behind them trying to get a little hype. You know, that's what they do, right? But I do wonder when they got older, because didn't they both date Angela Simmons? Weren't they both pretty serious with Angela Simmons? I'm messy? Andy said I'm messy. I'm just saying it happened. It was addressed. They talked about Bow Wow and Romeo and Angela Simmons, and Bow Wow too for a little bit, were all on Growing Up Hip Hop. It was a storyline. Andy, why you saying I'm messy? It was out there. So I just wonder, because both had very, you know, seemingly deep relationships with her. So I wonder if, you know, that's all the way real. It could be, but it just, how can you be homies and you're dating the same woman and she's kind of not literally going back and forth, but, you know, there's some interaction there. Life. Let's continue on. Yeah, let's continue.
All my big homies was giving me about my car.
Did it go back?
You know,
I think it might have went back. Well, if it went back, that's okay.
And if he was here, say it never. I never wanted. It never should have been that, and I never wanted to be that. And through time, I had conversations with Rome, and he was like, "Yo, bro." it was all because I looked up to you, bro.
Wow.
Like, I really looked up to you. Like, he's like, you don't understand. And to this day, like, that's why on the verses, when me and Soulja Boy did the verses, you see Rome come out and give me my flowers. He's like, yo, Bow, you like the Jordan of this. And, you know, I'm like the Kobe and da-da-da-da, vice versa. But it was just a dope moment because we wanted the people to know, like, there never was an issue between us. It was more of the media trying to.
Andy want to jump in because I said that's a stretch that they are the Jordan and Kobe of the rappers of their era. Please.
Maybe not Romeo.
Okay, right.
But Bow Wow?
Bow Wow.
At the time.
Yes, I would agree with that. I'm just saying, you know, there's Chris, again, not in his era, but I'm just saying, no, Bow Wow, the 2000s, as far as a kid rapper, him and the group B2K and Omarion, which we're going to get to in a second. But Lil Romeo was popular. Didn't he have a Nickelodeon show or something? I think
he did.
And I know he did a movie, but Lil Romeo, when he was Lil Romeo and rapping, I'm not a little kid, so it wasn't for me. But Bow Wow definitely had it.
100%.
Lil Romeo was developing.
100%.
Developing.
No comparison in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I get the sentiment coming from Little Romeo.
Yeah,
like
get it.
We were the, you know, at the forefront.
We were the two.
We were the two, you know, young black heartthrobs. You know what I'm saying? No?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I just feel like, yeah. I mean, again, let me stop talking like I was a kid when all of this was popping. I was an observer. So this is just my thoughts. Let's get into Omarion part, though. I think that's coming up now.
Make that thing a thing, and it never was.
Moving right along. Omarion. Was that a real beef?
It's complicated.
Still?
Yep. Yeah. Still.
What?
Yeah, it's complicated.
We can't just sit down and hash it out.
I don't want to talk.
He don't want to talk, or you don't?
I don't want to talk. It's nothing to talk about. Not even in a bad way. You know what I mean? It's just you know, when you lay your hand out and you try to be the bigger person and try to rap, but you get no response, and you're just like, okay, well, we're gonna leave it right here then. You know what I mean? And let's just, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing, and we just gonna keep the peace. But it's definitely not no beef. Like we in the same buildings. Like we pass each other in arenas. We might not speak, but we walk past each other.
I was about to say, because what type of beef are we talking about? We talking about 50 Cent, Rick Ross type of beef?
No. That's
Drake, Kendrick type of beef?
Hell nah, because if it's on, it's
Quavo, Chris Brown type of beef?
Nah, because beef is, if I see you at any place in time, it's on where it's on, like it's on site. That ain't what it is with us. It's just more of a, we've been through this thing for so long that where we at, he's 40. Like, I'm 38. Like, where we at now, like, not like we grown. And it's just like, we don't have to do that now. We got kids. We got our own lives. Where I'm going in my career is where I'm going. Where you going is where you going. I wish you nothing but the best. And for me, the best revenge sometimes is time. You ain't even got to do much. That's why I said in the tweet, we don't have to talk. You know what I mean? It's just time for us to hit the stage, and we'll leave it on the stage. We'll let the fans decide what it's gonna be.
So here's my thing. One, what happened? Right? I didn't even really know that they were beefing. But the thing that is interesting is Omarion comes up a lot in beefs. And, you know, we know Omarion's persona is Mr. Unbothered, but is he? I don't know. That was an interesting commentary because right now they're on the Millennium Tour together. They did a whole album together. They don't perform those songs together at the shows. I'm sure fans probably want to see some of that energy, and they don't get that. So I get being grown men and maybe not hanging out, partying, drinking, doing that. I get that you have families. I mean, are the kids, I think the kids are close in age. Maybe the kids don't rock, but you know, get together, backyard barbecues, but you don't have to. But professionally, if you're going to be on a joint tour and you have an album together and some of your latter biggest hits were together from that album, why not perform any of them? Isn't that what the fans want to see, Andy?
Maybe not so much. I mean, Bow Wow has his own hits.
Right.
Omarion has his own hits. You know what I'm saying?
They don't want to hear one like Fresh As I'm Is or what the one you just played. Come on. Everybody wants everybody wants to hear that from them. They want to see Bow Wow do the dance and
look. People wanted Kendrick to perform his hits at the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, you're not going to get everything that you want.
People are not going to get what they want.
You know?
But they're right there.
Understood, but I mean, didn't Omarion and B2K have a beef at one point? But they came together to do the Millennium Tour, whatever the last one was. So I don't know if their relationships are the best. Kudos to them for being adults. Like, we still gonna do this tour together.
We're gonna get this money. I mean, they don't have to interact really, because their sets. They might be separated by someone.
Absolutely.
They probably rarely see each other at the venues. They may not stay in the same hotels, and they're not sharing tour buses. So,
and this reeks of you remember the comment that what's his name, Redman made about Method Man?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. Maybe Bow Wow said it. He's 38. Omarion's 40. We got families. We just not kicking it like that no more.
I mean, you think about it, even teams do that. People look at teams when they're young, and then when they get older, they're like, well, why aren't they hanging out? People got lives. They got other things going on. So that's that. When we come forward, we're going to get into this Chris Brown business, plus more trending topics and headlines. Of course, you are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News, traffic, and sports is up next.
Little dance, so I tip a man. Hit me, she hood with it, so fine. Little mama, so fly. Do anything for the B.O.W., and that's why she stay right by my side. Like LL, she so bad. She like when my true sag, my tattoos, she like that. Anything she wants, she got that.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker says President Trump's first 100 days are bringing chaos, not change. The Black Democrat says the president's actions are creating economic uncertainty, something he promised would not happen. Winsome Earl Sears just made history as the first Black woman to win the GOP nomination for Virginia governor. She'll face Democrat Abigail Spanberger in a race that could give the state its first ever woman governor. New York schools are refusing to end DEI programs despite threats from the Trump administration to cut federal funding. Officials say there's no law banning DEI. And Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is praising historic wildfire recovery efforts 3 months after the deadly Palisades and Eaton fires. She credits the Trump administration for record EPA cleanup and says utilities were restored in just 2 months. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Downtown L.A., it's a problem with a stall on the 101 northbound before the 110, blocking the 2 middle lanes, delays away from 1st Street. South Pasadena, to crash reported on the 110 northbound before Orange Grove. Left lane is where it landed, so that's going to jam up quickly. Right now we're seeing, it looks like they're clearing everything out of lanes and traffic's picking up. Now we're also checking out the drive in Pasadena, 210 eastbound. Delays and stretches leaving Fair Oaks in pockets all the way to Azusa.
You're going to want to sit down for this. The jumbo breakfast platter from Jack in the Box. No, seriously, it's so munch food. There's French toast sticks, grilled sausage patty, hash brown, and scrambled eggs, all for just $4.99. Get all this and so much more at Jack in the Box.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Mookie Betts, the only African-American player on the Dodgers roster, joined his teammates Monday morning at the White House for a celebration with President Trump. Trump invited the Dodgers to honor the team for their World Series championship last season. When the invitation was extended to the Dodgers in March, Betts said he was undecided if he would attend the ceremony. During Trump's first term in 2019, Betts boycotted a White House visit with the Boston Red Sox after they won the World Series. Betts said he joined his teammates Monday morning because he did not want to be a distraction. During the 20-minute ceremony, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw gave Trump a Dodgers jersey with the number 47. The Dodgers White House visit drew mixed reactions from Dodgers fans because of Trump's controversial policies affecting minorities around the country. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey yo, look like I'm going for a swim. Dunked on him, now I'm swinging off the rim. Then coming off the bench, while I'm coming off the court fully drenched. Here goes some haterade, get your thirst quenched. Style doing him in this Burberry trench. These birds copy every word, every inch. But gang got the hammer and the wrench. I pull up in that $250,000 off the lot. Oh, now she trying to be friends like I forgot. Show off my diamonds like I'm
welcome in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Gotta let Nikki rock a little bit. We're gonna get into why, because you know Andy's always on theme, so we're continuing that. But before we get into the top 25 female rappers, we're focusing on the top 10 because time. Let me wrap up Bow Wow and his beefs. So the Brat, he said that they don't have, their issues don't go deep. She was like a mentor and a big sister to him, but you know, probably has some history, a little annoying little brother type or whatever. He was real, you know, casual about it, respectful, right? Kept it pushing. And he also has beef with Le'Veon Bell. They're both from Columbus, Ohio, right? Now, Bow Wow left Columbus fairly early. I mean, it is home, birthplace. But he moved to Atlanta when he was about 8 or 9 years old. For a minute he was out here, I should say, with Snoop and Death Row and all of them before he got to JD. That's how JD found Bow Wow, because Snoop was like, we can't really do nothing with him, Remember Lil Bow Wow in the Gin and Juice video jumping on the couch? So it's hard to maintain relationships over a 30-year period with anyone, but you add in the layer of entertainment, youth, growing, and all of those things. Things change. I think sometimes it's disappointing for fans because they want to hold you in that one space and crystallize that moment.
I think the key thing that I took, from that back and forth was the whole beef between him and Romeo, right? Mm-hmm. I was obviously a little bit older than him, but I'm gonna say I was kind of like in his generation, in his realm. And I just remember the dialogue just, amongst my friends and stuff like that was that they were beefing. But, this also gives credence to media-driven, pushed, beefs. You know what I mean? It never was a beef, according to Bow Wow. But
and I believe
why do we
that.
wait this long for you to even mention that?
I think it's a couple of things. I think, too, we know even back then, I think about back in the day, like Right On Magazine and Black Beat and stuff like that. They used to have Michael Jackson versus Prince, right? There was always that debate. Who do you like better? Who's more? You couldn't be a Prince and a Michael Jackson fan. You could. I was. But I think that it is a marketing thing. It gets people excited. People want to have a side. It's just that now Stanism has turned fandom into something else. So I think that they really, really, really want to be involved and push the agenda. So it's gone from sort of playful competition and things of that nature. Maybe not so playful. We all saw the Temptations movie. We saw the 5 Heartbeats. I know it's not a real movie, but it was based on real life things. And, we know how that all gets down. He did say that there's no beef with Chris Brown. He calls him his forever guy. Speaking of Chris Brown, he is giving
Big B's.
Big B's. He's giving a PSA, right? And it is a red bandana PSA. And what I want to point out is it is very mature of Chris to put this out there. It is very mature of Chris to think of this in advance. I think this is a big tour coming up for Chris Brown, the 2020 Breezy Bowl. It also has Bryson Tiller and Summer Walker in the building. And I think that after his showcase in Africa, where he was performing in front of 90 to 100,000 fans and things of that nature, I think that it is poised for Chris Brown to kick it up a notch. I think he could with this, Still want him to edit his albums a little bit, but he's a performer and we know he's going to bring a show. So there were rumors on social media that fans in support of him were planning to wear red bandanas. And Breezy was like, don't do that. Don't play those kind of games. We're not doing that here this time with my show. What he said exactly was, I see a lot of fans collectively telling Team Breezy to wear red bandanas to the concert. I would highly advise y'all not to do that, with a laughy face. Just get brown bandanas so y'all won't run into any problems. I don't want people to get the wrong impression and promote the wrong thing. Y'all know I'm Brisk Breezy, but we promoting positivity on this tour. Thank you, and I love y'all. Andy, why are you laughing?
Did he really call himself Brisk Breezy?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
Who came up with the idea to even...
His fans, whatever.
Disrespectful.
They made, but here's the thing.
It probably wasn't a black person, I'll tell you that.
I was going to say, here, part 2 to that is, right, and I don't know this, do other cities have the red and blue thing like we do? I know Crips and Bloods have traveled and moved.
New York, for sure.
Okay.
I don't know how serious it is, like how it is out here, but I know for sure in New York, they wasn't tripping out there.
No, I know that they're, look, I remember seeing Bangin' in Little Rock on HBO back, what was that, the early 2000s, late 90s? It was this documentary about how the gangs had traveled to Arkansas, and it was like, it was crazy. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I wonder, listen, it was just interesting. Shout out to CB, though, for being proactive and making sure that it is a safe environment.
Because when they come to Los Angeles,
man, do not play. Don't do it.
Not.
And tickets start at about $99, so reasonable in this current environment. And the VIP packages are about $1,500. So, and we know Chris Brown goes crazy with the meet and greets and those photos. Shout out to him for that too, for keeping his fans, engaged and giving them what they want. They've carried him. All right, now for the moment that we have been waiting for. Let's get into this. Billboard names its top 25 greatest female rappers of all time.
Jill.
Yes.
Take a deep breath.
I got a deep breath.
Because I know you about to unleash right now.
I'm like...
Really?
Well, let me tell you why, right? Because the first thing I had to do, I looked at the list first, and before I reacted, I was like, let me go see what their criteria is, right? Let me stop and breathe and see what their criteria is. So... it was their staff, right? And they considered body of work achievements, charted singles and albums, gold, platinum certifications, right? So the hardware, the valid proof, cultural impact, influence, how the artist's work has fostered the genre's evolution, longevity, years at the mic, lyrics, storytelling skills, and flow, vocal prowess. So those are all the things that I would consider. However, right, and we'll get into this, I understand why number one is number one. You should already know who number one is. Lady of Rage, she's far down on the list. Shout out to Forrest Harrison in the chat. I understand why number one is, but I still think the blueprint, the layout really should have been number one. We'll get into that. The blueprint. We'll talk about that when we come forward. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. All right, so I'm going to run down from 20 to 1, leaving out 5. Y'all will live. What the Billboard's list is for their top 25 rappers. We're giving 20. So at number 20 is Moni Love. Number 19 is Lotto. 18 is Remy Ma. Rhapsody is 17. Doja Cat is 16, Megan Thee Stallion 15, Left Eye 14, Trina 13, Da Brat 12, Cardi B 11, Foxy Brown 10, Eve 9, Roxanne Shante 8, Salt and Pepper 7, MC Lyte 6, Queen Latifah 5, Lil Kim 4, Lauryn Hill is 3, Missy is 2. So that leaves Nicki at number 1. So let me say this. Nicki, obviously, that's a good choice, right? That's a good choice. Nicki, you know, did start the BBL wave with female rappers. Like, that's part of the kit, right? The pink wigs, people were popping out with pink wigs and colorful wigs because of Nicki at that time, because we all know who started that. Kim, the Queen Bee. She dropped in with fashion. That wasn't really a thing for female rappers before Kim and Foxy, right? To drop in with all of the fashion stuff and the labels and what have you. But I feel like, one, the streaming era probably benefited Nicki. No shade, no tea, right? She was part of the physical era too. But I do feel like if we're including sales, she benefited from that, right? And but the list is interesting to me because they have Salt and Pepper below Queen Latifah, right? And I don't know, Salt and Pepper went pop. They were the first real crossover thing. I don't think they included JJ Fadden there. I don't think they necessarily should have, right? But they have Cardi B at number 11, and Cardi's dropped one album. Her features slamming. I'm not shading Cardi. I like Cardi. She's hinted that she's about to drop an album and a tour, but it's been almost 8 years. That's crazy.
Impact.
Just how she did hit hard. She did do it a different way. She came off of reality TV and Instagram, so I'm not giving Cardi her props, but...
And it was arguably a classic album.
First of all, that is a well put together album. Phenomenal first album. Singles, styling, everything. That was an album, right? Roxanne Shante, should she be 8? Should she be a little further up? You know, I feel like I got questions about that, right? Foxy Brown is always an interesting one to me because Foxy can spit, but I think Foxy being problematic, not that some of the other women on this list and rappers in general haven't been problematic, but I think it hurts her. I think people leave her out. I was surprised they put MC Lyte as high as they did. I love Lyte, but I feel like the younger generation, her name doesn't really come up, right? I don't feel like a lot of the youth really know that much about Lyte. Lyte had a solid first album back in the day. I mean, the singles were banging. She was flipping it up with the R&B thing. She was like a tomboy kind of rapper that flipped the game over. So, you know, again, the list is interesting. I'm not saying it's unfair. I just don't know. Number 25 was Doechii, and I get it. She's new. I feel that. Moni Love is an interesting one. I think that when you think about, she was one of the first big rappers from the UK to cross over. Before her, and I don't even think you can really consider this individual a rapper, but her first song was rap-esque, and people talked about it. It's Nina Cherry. She had this song called Buffalo Stance. And so, you know, I kind of feel like Kim got robbed because of the fashion, you know, she started the only, well, no, I mean, I guess her and Foxy both kind of started the only female in my crew type of thing, hanging with the guys. I don't even think they had Mia X on there. I feel like, do you put her on? But did she represent something for female rappers in the South coming up? They have Gangsta Boo. So if you have Gangsta Boo, Gangsta Boo is in the last 25. Do you not throw Mia X in there maybe? I don't know. It's an interesting list. Rhapsody, I feel like, and again, I like Rhapsody. I actually talked to her a little bit at the Grammys backstage. I feel like and I know she has fans, but who are Rhapsody's fans? Like, I feel like people use her as a prop and don't really respect her music or her rhymes. Not everybody, but I feel like people just use her name to say, see, I listen to other types of rap. I'm not just for the ratchet or the material. I can get deep. And that is the only person they point to. Tierra Whack was also in that last 25. So Pretty Brown Mimi, you asked, did you miss Queen Latifah? She's number 5. And I think that's a good place for her because she also, too, she came out as part of the Native Tongues, kind of, but she also had her own crew. And Latifah also was one of the first rappers, period, to flip over into acting. You had her, LL, obviously Run DMC kicked it off, a couple of others, but Latifah, so much so that I don't even know if some of the youth really know that Queen Latifah used to be a rapper. Much like I said with LL, I don't know if they really know her for that or could pick out her song or know what her hit was. I doubt that. Megan's with Trina. I think that's a good place for Trina. I'm comfortable with where Trina is. Eve.
She should be higher.
From bars and impact, because when Eve came out with, the Blonde Bombshell, and when she dropped, even though that was very much in the only female in my crew time period, she stood out and she made it an impact. I think it's hard, to really get into some of these lists sometimes, but for the most part, I think this is a fair list because I'm not sure where I would move around some of my changes, but
I got a couple.
Let me hear them.
Well, I'm definitely putting Eve above Roxanne Shante, so I'm switching them.
Okay.
I'll put Eve at 8 and put Roxanne Shante
but
at 9.
But remember, part of their thing is impact, and Roxanne Shante was like one of the first female rappers, period. She had beef. She created a craze off of that. She was 15 years old when she dropped.
And I could respect that. It's not really too much of a pushback on that. Eve is just my personal female GOAT.
Got it.
What I mean? And just even at her time when she was popping, she was kind of like the only one, really. You know what I'm saying? Coming from a group of the Rough Riders.
Right.
I'm sorry. To stand out and to still be feminine.
Right.
In that space, I think was huge.
She was bad. And she looked different, like, still at the time. I agree. In the chat, EA says Lauryn Hill higher than Kim as a rapper cap. L Boogie is serious, though. So here's the thing. Lyrically, if you're going to like that, but they're two different styles. And I think, there's obviously crossing the fandoms, but I think Lauryn fans are different from Kim's fans and looking for a different thing,
That's
right?
Fair.
So I think it is impact, like you mentioned. Lauryn Hill's solo album came out and dropped a bomb. I have my same question. Well, you can count her Fuji stuff because I have my same questions as with Cardi. Even though that album was a masterpiece, it's only one album to place them in the top 25 of all time.
You got folks who drop 1 or 2 albums and they're considered the GOAT just because of that. And Lauryn Hill Miseducation, if I forgot what platform that was, wasn't that the #1 album of the past 25 years?
I think so. I think it was up there, yeah.
Billboard or Vibe or whatever those platforms are, but
I just, it's an interesting list.
It's Lauryn Hill hip hop.
I think when that was a conversation that happened a lot. She was one, because Latifah sang in some of her music, right? I think that people weren't really before that, though, like Lauren, they considered that even though she was rapping on that album, it kind of was a genre blend, and it was really fresh at the time. You think about Ja Rule really kicked off the singing rappers. And listen, as much as people, and Drake perfected it, obviously, but Morris Phillips, Pretty Brown Mimi says, Yo-Yo, Queen Pen, didn't hear too many West Coast ladies. Here's the thing. I love Yo-Yo, right? But I don't know. I don't feel like she made an impact the way that these other ones did. Like, Yo-Yo was cool, but the momentum, I feel, and, like, I was very much into hip-hop then. I was IBWing with my crew, and I think that's what she had, the IBW, International Black Women's Council or something she was talking about. But I don't know. I don't see any of these top 20 where I would slot them out and drop in Yo-Yo. That's just my personal opinion. So I don't know. It's an interesting list. I think that the West Coast, we've talked about this before, is lacking when it comes to female rappers. I don't think it is something that we, and we've had some, like back in the day, there was a group called Conscious Daughters. There's been a lot of things going around, but, I think that we got to step it up in that aspect. All right, y'all. That's a wrap for today's entertainment update. I'm sure we'll talk hip hop again later. We always do. Bow Wow's reflection tour, female rapper rundown. I love that topic. We are staying tapped into the culture, so you don't have to scroll for your tea. You can come right here and get it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me everywhere. It's Stiletto Jill. Hit us up, and I will tap in with you tomorrow. Coming up next, the voice of reason, Zoe Williams.
I heard the bitch got hit by 3 zebras and a monkey. I can't stand it nowhere.
When I walk up in the piece, I ain't got any speed. I'm a bad man, my jumper got dagger. Y'all people ain't got it like me. I ain't studying these crows. Need to talk what you know. Stop talking about who I'm sticking and licking, just mad at ain't chose. I know y'all pull, y'all broke. Y'all job just hanging up close. Step to me, get burnt like toast. Y'all suckers, adios amigos. Half, post.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker says President Trump's first 100 days are bringing chaos, not change. The Black Democrat says the president's actions are